schedule to be here with us. So good evening, and before I begin, I want to obviously again thank you for being here. Introduce myself. My name is Aaron Wasserman. I'm the Director of Curriculum for the Hanover Township Public Schools, and I've been part of the Hanover Township School District for the past 24 years. I've served in the roles of teacher, guidance counselor, assistant principal, and most currently, the curriculum director for the past 8 years. I know many of your faces in the audience, and as I see a lot of you, I just seem to get older and older, so it's nice to see everyone. Hanover Township is an incredible school district with dedicated educators and administrators who have consistency within the district. And we also understand the expectations and the needs of the community. The purpose of this evening's presentation is to provide the community with some information about the 2020 Comprehensive Health and Physical Education Standards. Specifically, we will be covering the 4 bullets on this slide. First, I would like to share the Hanover Township Standards Update process. Curriculum is a living document that continues to change over time with the guidance of administration and teachers. But every 5 years, the New Jersey Department of Education updates the standards within a curriculum. And during that time, teachers align their instruction to the new standards. This occurred in 2020, and the New Jersey Department of Education has provided districts with additional time to align and adopt the new standards. This was a result of COVID, and the date of the implementation has now been shifted to September 2022. This slide outlines the standards update process, and it's also important to note that the district is currently in the process of transitioning all of our curriculum into a new curriculum mapping program called Atlas. Once the process is completed, a link to the program will be posted on our district website. Until then, our current curriculum remains posted on our website. The next slide provides you with how health education is delivered. You will notice that within the K2 grade band, there are no specific pull-out health classes. All health education is taught within the physical education class by the homeroom teacher and guidance counselors through our character education lessons. These lessons focus on the 6 pillars of character, which are respect, responsibility, caring, trustworthiness, fairness, and citizenship. The same applies for grades 3 through 5, with the exception that during grades 4 and 5, there are 2 specific family life pull-out health classes that are taught. The pull-out classes are taught with gender-like peers by the physical education health teacher and nurse. During grades 6 through 8, students receive 1 marking period of health per year, and it is also taught by the health and physical education teacher. The family life portion of the curriculum is taught in 8th grade, and it occurs for an entire marking period. The next slide shares a comparison of the different grade bands between the 2014 Health and PE standards and the 2020 Health and PE standards. Grade bands allow for flexibility on where content is being delivered. You will notice that the grade bands on when content of material is being taught have shifted. The new grade bands are K2, 3-5, 6-8, and 9-12. On the next slide, you will see that the 2014 health standards were broken into 6 categories. The 2020 standards have been broken down into 3 categories. The human relationships and sexuality category in 2014 was under standard 2.4, and that information can now be found under standard 2.1. Since the numbers and the wording of the standards have changed, we now have to realign our program to the new numbers and wording. The next slide will further break down the comparison of the standards. Specifically, we are still looking at the 2014 standard 2.4 human relationships and sexuality and the 2020 standards of 2.1 personal and mental health. You will notice that there used to be 3 categories under the standard 2.4 in 2014, and they were relationships, sexuality, and pregnancy and parenting. In the 2020 standard, 2.1, this standard has been subcategorized into 5 sections, which are personal growth and development, pregnancy and parenting, emotional health, social and sexual health, and community health services and support. I want to share an example of what can be found within these subcategories. So each subcategory has an overarching core idea, which is in fact the big picture. It's a big picture idea, and then there are additional performance expectations, which are detailed areas that color in the core idea or big picture. We have been provided with latitude from the Department of Education on how we teach the performance expectations. We have been provided with latitude on how we teach the performance expectations. This includes the fact that there are no required materials or lessons that are required to meet the performance expectations. So we have taken the latitude in Hanover Township to continue using our current materials and curriculum to meet the core ideas of the standards, and therefore feel confident that we are also covering the performance expectations that follow. The next slide shows an example of how each one of the subcategories of Standard 2.1 would have both a core idea and a performance expectation associated with it. And here you could see that example. Notice that the core idea is the overarching idea, that's where we're focused, and the performance expectation is the content to support. For the next slide, I would like to provide you with 3 examples of core ideas and performance expectations across the 2.1 standard. The examples encompass all 3 grade bands, and these are also the core ideas and performance expectations that the New Jersey Department of Education sent to districts in a clarifying memo on April 14th, 2022. The memo was referenced by Mr. Wasco during his April superintendent's report, and it clearly stated that there are no specific mandated lessons, activities, or materials that are required to be used by local districts to teach those performance expectations. Local districts may remain consistent with communities' expectations. This provides districts with local control on how the standards are implemented. With that being said, we believe that the parents are the primary sexuality educators for their children. We are a community that teaches the overarching core ideas in both an age and developmentally appropriate manner. This will be done in a way consistent on how the topics were covered and taught in the past. We have kept the same curriculum resources and materials in place and are merely aligning our current practices into the new core ideas and performance expectations. So let's take a look at the K2 example that was shared with the NJDOE memo, and you will see that the core idea states, every individual has unique skills and qualities which can include the activities that they enjoy, such as how they may dress, their mannerisms, and things they like to do. We have and we will continue to address this core idea of the standard. The performance expectation provides additional detail to the core idea, but please note that we have some discretion on how this performance expectation may be presented. The performance expectation reads, discuss the range of ways people express their gender and how gender role stereotypes may limit behavior. On the next slide, you will see a list of all the core ideas and for the subcategory social and sexual health by the end of grade 2. So you'll see that the first core idea that is highlighted in blue and the remaining core ideas under this subcategory of 2.1, social and sexual health, are represented in all of the following bullets. Most importantly, let me share with you some of the learning objectives that we have been covering within the K2 grade band, either within our phys ed class or character education lessons. The last two bullets focus on our character education lessons, again reinforcing the 6 pillars of character: respect, responsibility, caring, fairness, trustworthiness, and citizenship. This slide shows some examples of how that may look in the classroom. Most importantly, it is approached in a way that addresses the core idea. Further, it covers the golden rule of respect and to do unto others what you would want done unto you. Additional examples may include career choices that do not reinforce gender roles. For example, a boy or a girl can choose to be whatever they wish when they grow up. Examples may include that girls can be a firefighter and a boy can be a nurse. It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, you can like different things, and you don't have to like what your friend likes, but you should continue to like the things that you like. The next example will cover the grades 3 through 5. The grade band. And although it also deals with standard 2.1, the subcategory has changed from social and sexual health to personal growth and development. This example deals with the core idea that puberty is a time of physical, social, and emotional changes. The performance expectation is explain common human sexual development and the role of hormones. For example, romantic and sexual feelings, masturbation, mood swings, and timing of pubertal onset. Please know that the text in parentheses are examples, and the examples are not in our curriculum. Please know that those are examples and they are not in our curriculum. The next slide will show the two core ideas under the category of personal growth and development. And here are those two core ideas. You will notice that these are overarching ideas, and they've always been taught, and they will continue to be taught in the manner by which we have been teaching them. They are merely now being aligned to the new numbers and language in Standard 2.1. The next few slides cover the overall learning objectives that Hanover Township has been covering within grades 3 through 5 through the physical education class and character education lessons. The following slides will break down the learning objectives that have also been in place for family life in grades 4 and 5. These learning objectives will remain in place and continue to be taught in the same manner that we have been teaching them. And this slide covers some general topics in grades 3 through 5, while the next two slides will focus on the specific family life pull-out classes that have been taught and will continue being taught using the same methodologies. Here are the grade 4 family life learning objectives. These have been the objectives in our current curriculum, and they will continue to be in our future curriculum. They are taught over 2 school periods throughout the year. This equates to approximately 80 minutes of instruction for the school year in grade 4 and 80 minutes of instruction for the school year in grade 5. The topics that will be taught at the end of the marking period 3, which is approximately during the last 2 weeks of March. Parental notification and approval have been and will continue to be obtained prior to the lessons, and this is where we begin to introduce students to the physical, emotional changes that they will begin to experience within puberty. An emphasis is placed on discussing these topics with their parents, a child's parents, and or guardian. And here you'll see the grade 5 family life objectives that have been taught since I've been here as a curriculum director. And these objectives will remain in place and cover the core ideas and performance expectations for the current 2020 health curriculum. Please remember that these lessons will take 2 periods per school year and equate to approximately 80 minutes. Parental notification and approval have been and will continue to be obtained prior to the lessons. And this is a breakdown of examples of how we are addressing the overarching core ideas in an age and developmentally appropriate manner. Finally, let's look at the examples, or the example for grades 6 to 8 under Standard 2.1. Within this example is the core idea under the category 2.1, social and sexual health. The core idea is there are factors that contribute to making healthy decisions about sex. The performance expectation is to define vaginal, oral, and anal sex. Again, we are not getting into the details of the performance expectations, but rather we will be focusing on the overall core idea that there are factors that contribute to making healthy decisions about sex. And this slide breaks out the core ideas under the 2.1 standard subcategory of social and sexual health by the end of grade 8. These topics are all covered within our 8th grade health class as they have been in the past and will continue with the new alignment to the 2.1 standard. So let me provide you with a breakdown of the learning objectives that have been and will continue to be taught. In grade 6, learning objectives do not encompass family life. Similarly, in grade 7, here are the learning objectives that do not include family life, but focus on more general objectives as well as drugs and alcohol. And here are the 8th grade learning objectives, and you will notice highlighted in blue are the objectives that align to the new core ideas. We will continue to address the overarching core ideas in an age and developmentally appropriate manner. And you will notice the examples of the 8th grade learning objectives that support the core idea. If you need additional information about any of the learning objectives that have been shared with you during this evening's presentation, we're asking you to make an appointment with your child's teacher to clarify your specific question about that learning objective. And I'd like to spend the next slide to explain to you about parental notification and your opt-out procedures. Parental notification and opt-out procedures are in place for all 3 grade levels where family life is being taught. The grade 4 and 5 letters have always been in place, and this year, teachers in grade 8 health will be sending a similar parental notification. All parents will be required to read, sign, and send back the form. And teachers who do not receive a form back will be following up with those parents. In addition to the letters, teachers will be sharing information via their back-to-school night presentations, within parent-teacher conferences, and at any point, if a parent has a question or a specific question about something within the curriculum or an objective that's being taught, they may call or email their child's teacher to set up an appointment, and the teacher will be happy to sit down and share the materials and the resources as well as any questions that you may have with them. Over the past 3 years, we can count on one hand the amount of students per year that have opted out of the grades 4, 5, and 8th grade health classes being taught throughout the district each year. I would like to now show you those letters that you're going to be receiving via a Google form from your child's teachers in grades 4, 5, and 8. So this was a form that was sent out last year, and on the bottom of the form, it obviously explains a little bit about what's going on, and then it says, do you grant permission for your child to participate in the Family Life Program? Yes or no, and check if you would like a phone call from either the nurse or the health teacher. Similarly, in grade 5, this is the communication that's also been shared and sent out. It gives a little introduction about some of the things that are going to be taught. Please remember that all of our curriculum currently is posted. Our current curriculum is posted on our website, and our curriculum that's proposed will also be posted once it's approved on our website. And if you notice here, it says, do you grant permission for your child to participate in the Family Life Program? And if you would like a phone call to please check. And of course, you can always contact the teacher. The new form for grade 8 talks a little bit about, since it's a full marking period, what will be discussed during Unit 1 of the marking period. These are the topics. These are the topics of Unit 2 during the marking period. It lists a question that says, I am aware of the topics being taught in the 8th grade health curriculum, and if I have any questions regarding specific topics, I will contact my student's health teacher directly to receive clarification needed. And then the participation form would be, my child may participate in all units, my child may not participate in all units, and then we are also giving an option that you may want to have your child participate for one of the unit or not one of the other units. If a child chooses to opt out, that is fine and not a problem. What they will do is they will return back to their physical education, to the physical education space, and complete either half the marking period in a phys ed class or a full marking period back in a phys ed class. At the elementary level, if they choose to opt out, they will go to an applied art that is running at the same time. So for example, if art and phys ed are running that day at the same time, they will return to the art class and do an art assignment. And that's the way we are managing the opt-out procedures. That's the way we are managing the parental notifications. And we feel that this is in line, and I've been here for a long time, and I know a lot of the faces out there. It's really nice to see a lot of there's some former students of mine, there's some former parents, there's a lot of people I know out here. And one thing I can say is, being from Hanover Township for 24 years, I understand the expectations of this community, and I understand what our teachers are comfortable doing and what they're not comfortable doing. We feel that we're covering all of the core ideas and all of the main points within the new curriculum through the methodologies that we've currently been using and the materials that we've currently been using, and we are aligning it to those standards. That concludes my formal portion of the presentation. I really appreciate your kind listening, and I'm going to open it up for some questions at this point.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Wasserman.